Hello guys, my name is TheRussianBadger and welcome back. It is wonderful to see you, but before I get into anything else that you're already expecting, like the funny moments of Dragon's Teeth or some more hilarious segments that may or may not involve a mudslide on a map that I've fondly called Olive Garden instead of Lumpini Garden for reasons that I'll explain later, I would like to start off with a segment that I am somehow calling, for some reason, SRS BSNS, or Sir's Business, and I wanted to address a particular issue that a lot of you have been muttering about in the comments, and a lot of you have been tweeting at me about, so let's get down to some haha business really quickly. So, the previous video before this one, and this particular video, are both sponsored by something called EA Ronku, or as Chowboy Azzy and I like to call it, Ronku. But getting down to business, Badger, what does that specifically mean? Well, when it comes down to it, that means that EA is paying me for this particular video. But Badger, does that mean that they're somehow suppressing your ability to make negative comments about the Dragon's Teeth DLC or any of EA's products? No. Well, does that mean that you have to shower it with praise and say that it's unequivocally the best DLC ever created and you're missing out if you don't buy it? No. And allow me to explain to you exactly what I'm getting out of this, and what they're getting out of this. EA is only paying me for exposure. They're paying me to upload a video to share my thoughts about Dragon's Teeth, and the laughable part about it is that I would have been doing that anyways. Even if EA was not paying me for this video, I would still upload a video showing you guys the funny moments that I've had throughout my time with the DLC and share my thoughts on it. And it's just laughable. So many people that say that there's some kind of dichotomy between Badger, you're a sellout, and Badger, you're not a sellout. And I just think to myself, if you really think that I'm a sellout, I encourage you to do one or both of two things. Number one, go back and check all of my Ronku Hardline videos. I will put it on your screen for you right now, so it's extremely convenient for you to go back. And please look at these. These are both sponsored. All three of these are sponsored by Ronku. And do you really think that these are just, oh, this is clearly the best game ever, it's so extremely good, only positive comments coming out of my mouth? No! It's filled with negative criticism, and not only negative criticism, half of the video is just chock full of satirical comments that make fun of how many laughable features, or just features that are completely broken with the game and how it just doesn't work correctly. And number two, if that wasn't evidence enough, I encourage you, I implore you to come out to one of the live streams, alright? Come out to one of my live streams. I will leave a Twitch link down below. Those of you that are saying that I'm some kind of, I don't have any negative comments about EA anymore, please come out to one of the live streams. Myself and Edgar and Ravik and Kia and Music, we do nothing but bash on the game. We say, this is broken, the shotgun spread doesn't really work, these vehicles are massively overpowered, why do stingers even exist? We have nothing but just negative comments and just speech about how broken some of the features are. So just the thought that, I'm somehow having all of my negative comments suppressed and I can only shower it with praise is just foolish. So please, go back and watch the Hardline videos, and I strongly encourage you to come out to the live stream. And the better part about the live stream, not only do we make heavy negative comments about the game on the live stream, but on top of that, we make negative comments while we have EA employees and DICE employees in our chat interacting with us. So we'll talk about particular features that we don't like and we think that are drastically just not implemented in the right fashion, and they will exchange with us. They'll say, oh, okay, hey, we thought that would pan out a little bit differently, we're going to rework that feature, and we're going to look into some solutions to what you think is not working with the game. So just the thought that I am just somehow having my opinion massively influenced by EA just because they happen to be paying me for something that I would be doing anyways, even if they weren't, is laughable. But you know what? It is your right to leave a comment saying, Badger, you're sucking up to EA, Badger, Spencer, you're such a sellout now. But you know what? If you're going to do that, keep in mind, I also reserve the right to immediately write you off as either completely ignorant or a whining malcontent. And now that we're done with haha business, I would like to get on to the fun part, because the fun part is clearly the most fun part of the entire video. I know Edgar doesn't like fun, I know Kia doesn't like fun, I know Music doesn't like fun, but I'm pretty sure Ravik and I really like fun. So let's move on from the serious business phase to the fun phase of what I've been having with Dragon's Teeth, shall we? So the reason that I call Lumpini Garden Olive Garden is because much like Olive Garden and this map, It's not entirely terrible. It's not the worst thing in the world, but at the end of the day, it's pretty disappointing. Now, also, like most things in the world, it's much more beneficial for you if you were born on the American side, because all you need to do is grab the A flag, grab the AMR sniper rifle, which I presume stands for America, slaughter anybody that's around the wall because your team is already probably capped B and C and is on their way to D, shove them back. They can only get out of... There's like 3 different points along the wall where they can squirm out of. If you cut off or seal off those specific points, they're pretty well boned from there on out. And here's the real kicker. Once you get close to their spawn, there's another pickup Barrett 50 cal sniper rifle that will totally enhance your ability to spawn rape your enemy into submission. So I'm not going to say it's particularly easy if you're American, but it's particularly easier if you're American. That's really all I'm going to say to you. And it's more enjoyable. But if you're not a huge fan of the whole spawn graping thing, there's this kind of weird thing that I had going on where I had this, I think it was like a glitch or a bug where I started throwing out all these med packs like they were breadsticks at Olive Garden. And look at Beef Bars being a smart aleck. Come on, man. Like you actually need a medic when I'm throwing this many med packs at you. You goof. That's just another reason that I really call it Olive Garden. And Beef Bars need to stop being such a goof. Okay, so look, this is the next point in time where you need to understand that you cannot outdo the shitstorm. Alright, it's always going to... It's kind of like trying to fight water with a sword. It's just never gonna come out with you on top, so I would just say, don't even try to make it into an enemy. Because the shitstorm, just the poop slide, that mud all over your face is always going to conquer you. You will never be able to conquer it, and it's even more fierce if you're up close to it. So that's really the advice that I have there. Moving on to Sunken Dragon, I love Sunken Dragon. I think a lot of people disagree with me here, but I love Sunken Dragon. Especially, and I know this might be a little bit morbid for you to hear, I love the parking structure. The parking structures has so much action in it, not only because you can kill everybody inside around D, the flag's right here, you also have partial visibility of B, kind of, I mean if you have like a RAWR or sniper rifle, and you can get everybody that's over at E. So if there's some dude, just some rando that happens to be, I don't know, like sitting in a quad on the flag and he's not dying for a really long point in time and you want to hit him with an RPG, you can do that. And you're going to see that in a few seconds here. Another thing that I like to mention, the MPX is my raifu. Alright, it is my rifle waifu. It's too good. It's something that, it's not exactly the best thing over range. It's not the most deadly in close quarters, but the reload's really quick. It's got almost no recoil, and the hip fire is just outrageously convenient. So that's, I just haven't been using basically anything else. I mean, I guess I'll throw on maybe like another carbine or carbine for maybe Pearl Market, but we'll get to that later. It's something that I might change for some really, really close quarters oriented type combat where I'm going to be forcing myself to be medic, but from downtown, oh, I actually did not think that I'd hit that because it's a very, very odd transition, and I think a lot of you can notice that the struggle is real. That strug is so trill. When you're switching from the SRA to a RPG or a SMAW that you can't control mid-flight, it's kind of a struggle, but I got over it. And yet again, so many vehicles tend to creep in here. Just hanging around the D flag in the parking structure is outrageously fun, especially on Sunken Dragon. I really, really like this map. Now, moving to something that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, other than people that like to have a chatty Cathy Gabfest lurking around green containers that are for some reason inside this parking structure. Haven't really figured that one out yet. But Pearl Market, not exactly my cup o' tea. I mean, I don't even really drink tea to begin with, so I don't know if I'm a good reference for what's good tea and what's not. But I can easily tell you that not exactly the biggest fan of Pearl Market. But you can make it work if you throw on any kind of carbine that happens to have good hip fire and I don't necessarily have to tell you a really good reload, but that's going to get you, I can't even begin to tell you how many times on Pearl Market I get shot in the face while changing mags. Like, you know, you shoot some guy in the face, you run around the corner, you think you're okay, you're like, no, man, I got blasted with somebody's deagle, because that's really the only pistol that you die to. Unless you just want a head glitch on a dumpster, 1 and 2 and 2 piece and a biscuit, and the third guy just kind of got shot in the face. Sorry about that, Mr. Sonic Frequency. And I think at this point, I'll address the deagle later on in the video, but we all know it's cheesing, alright? And don't give me that face teabagging McSwaggin with your silly doggy. I don't need that nonsense. Moving on from a map that I'm not necessarily a huge fan of, because I kind of just think the pro market's pretty garbage, especially on Chain Link, which Chain Link is kind of a unique mode. I think that it snowballs way too quickly out of control. Like, as soon as one team starts getting momentum, they kind of just crush you into submission every single time, which I think is a little asinine, but at the same time, Propaganda is a fairly wonderful map. I still don't think it's quite as good as Sunken Dragon. I know a lot of you would prefer if I didn't have exactly a tier system. Like, bro, this one is clearly better than this one, and this one is unequivocally probably better than that. I know you don't want me to do that, but I would definitely give the ranking of probably Pro Market at the worst, and then Olive Garden, this one, and then Sunken Dragon. I think Sunken Dragon is clearly the best. Maybe just because it's kind of like CJ Shanghai and Air Jordans from, oh my god. He goes hard in the paint. I don't even know what kind of shoes he has on. Hopefully he's got Jordans. Maybe he's got them mellows. Them mellows with that turquoise color on that black. I had a pair of mellows that I really didn't like, and then I got a pair of Air Jordans when I was younger. It's a really long story, but it changed my life forever. It's pretty great. And yet again, I can't use anything other than the MPX now. I got way too used to it, and this was kind of like a wall ride experience, and that Recon, the Cloth Monster, kind of didn't know where he went. He suddenly just forgot who he was. Now, let's be real. On another side note, you're going to want to hear my opinion about it, but it's amazing. You can easily tell that the RAWR is a great piece of machinery. Now, granted, you do have to find the right hiding spot, because somebody can just go peekaboo and shoot you in the face, then your entire RAWR streak is ruined. But if I'm not mistaken, it has 500 health, which is like 5 whole people sucked into one specific little robot. That's pretty dang dandy to me, and let's be real here, right? The Deagle is, I'm not gonna say it's balanced, but it's definitely fun, all right? It's definitely fun. And one final thing, just so we're clear here, I'm sorry, I know a lot of you are gonna be disappointed in me, but just so we're clear, I have switched my prominent camo, or my main primary camo, from duckweed to alligator, simply because...
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
And when I say everything, I mean everything. I mean, like, yeah, we're talking primary, secondary, boats, helicopters, shoes, shirts, pants, watch, whatever. Whatever I can put paint on, I've changed to alligator.
Interior crocodile alligator. I drive a Chevrolet movie theater.
Oh yeah, and one last thing. If you don't use the compensator on the Deagle to make it as long as possible, as horrendously long as possible, I think you're un-American.